Tired of staring at screens?
Let audioread.com turn your reading list into a private podcast.
With just 2 clicks, convert articles, PDFs, emails, or any text into audio you can stream in Apple Podcast, Spotify, or YouTube Podcast.
Perfect for multitaskers, podcast lovers, and productivity pros. Use the web app, browser extension, iOS shortcut, or Android PWA to listen anywhere. No installation required.
Highlight, upload, or forward content, and Audio Read does the rest.
audioread.com or find the link in the show notes.
Hi, I'm William,
And I'm Kat.
and that makes this a dash of info.
Little things you want to know.
So we're calling this one the folklore of scarecrows. So, Kat, I just have a question for you. Now, I grew up on a farm, and I watched some scary movies back in my day. Some you probably never heard of, like The Dark Night of the Scarecrow. Um, but growing up on a farm where, my next door neighbor was probably a mile down the road, and sometimes you would see those scarecrows in the garden. And when it got dark, those things were terrifying.
Oh, I believe it.
And I, I
That would make
guess,
me scared to go anywhere near a cornfield.
well, it wasn't just really cornfields. Like they were, I don't think we ever put them in a cornfield, but they were in gardens and people's front yards and stuff. It was a weird, imagine no street lights. You're going by the light of the moon and you see this shadow in the field.
No, no, I'm out. I am
So
out. Absolutely not.
that's where I got this idea from for this episode, and I hope you find it just as intriguing and as eerie and you know as I did.
So, why do humans across cultures feel the need to build these straw stuffed guardians? And why do they do so often end up in our folklore and horror stories?
Yeah, why do they? I guess let's go back to ancient Egypt and so ancient Egypt around I don't know what 3,000 years ago. Farmers along the Nile use wooden figures placed in fields to scare off what quail and whatever other birds threaten their crops, right?
Right, right. That I knew that was the basic premise
Yeah.
of scarecrows. I didn't know they went back to 3,000 years ago, though.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, you got this figure in there. I know you've seen the ones with like the pie tins hanging on them that kind of jingle or
Hmm.
make noise.
Hmm.
And when you go back to ancient Egypt, you see things dangling on these scarecrows to kind of like make movement so the birds would think someone was there.
Right. That sounds terrifying, also. These early scarecrows were rudimentary guardians, sometimes shaped vaguely like humans and sometimes more abstract.
Yeah,
And we also have Greece. The farmers there created wooden statues of Priapus, the minor god of fertility and gardens, often depicted with exaggerated features.
I know you've seen these.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so these figures were set up in the vineyards to protect grapes, and they were not just practical, but also symbolic, right?
Mm-hmm.
As they were believed to ward off pests and bring fertility.
Yes. Yes. And so
I'm
let's
a,
move on over to Japan
I
with
know
the
I'm gonna let you do that because you have the Japanese tongue there. I do
Oh.
not.
All right. So in Japan, they were called Kakashi, the Japanese version of uh the scarecrows.
And they go back centuries too, right?
Yes. And unlike simple straw figures, Kakashi were often dressed in old clothes and given a more human appearance.
Kind of like what you would see today.
Right.
They weren't just practical either. They carried spiritual and supernatural weight.
Mm. Yes, some traditions described Kakashi as having the power to ward off not only birds, but evil spirits.
Kind of like dream catchers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, in certain regions, people even performed rituals around Kakashi, treating them as protectors of the fields rather than just tools.
I like that.
Hmm.
So in medieval Europe, children were often sent into the fields to kind of act like living scarecrows, shouting, clapping, throwing stones to chase away birds and, whatever else could be eating the seeds there.
Right.
Uh, that is kind of eerie all on its own.
You know, you would have to have a lot of patience, or else, and those times you were probably most certainly beaten with a stick.
Hey kid, get out of the house. Go run out in the field and scare the birds away. Start shouting, clapping. Yeah.
Hey kids, get out of the road. Anyway, that's the
Uh,
song. Uh,
as towns grew and fewer children were available, farmers began to start crafting effigies from straw and wood to kind of take the place of the kids, right? And
right.
so these became the early versions of modern scarecrows, the ones you see today, stuffed with straw, dressed in old clothes, and maybe stood upright in the fields.
Yes. And there's also some symbolism that is more practical than tools. Across the early culture, scarecrows weren't just functional, they took on cultural and symbolic meaning. They were linked to fertility, protection, and the harvest cycle, often blurring the line between farm equipment and ritual object.
Because they stood up in the open and they were silent, kind of unlike human. um, People often ascribed personality or spirit to these scarecrows, kind of feeding into the folklore that would come a little bit later.
Right. So let's jump into the symbolism in the folklore and guardians of the harvest, if you
Yeah.
will.
So, at their core, scarecrows were protectors of crops, guardians standing watch over the food that could sustain an entire community. So, basically,
Right. Very important job.
extremely important job.
Farmers often projected human qualities onto them, dressing them in old clothes, giving them hats, and even carving or painting faces.
Mm. Because of this, scarecrows became more than just farm tools, right?
Hmm.
They were, like you said, symbolic figures of protection. So, really, the silent guardians of the crop that they were meant to protect.
I missed a good joke here back with the kids and the
Go for it now, though.
that gives a new term to children of the corn.
Oh man, where the kids were laughing, running out through the fields there.
Yeah.
Children
I
of the
mean,
Corn. That was a messed up movie.
yeah, it was, but hey.
Yeah.
Look at me. So is it helper or threat?
Yeah. So, folklore often portrays scarecrows with, that uneasy duality, right?
Right. So you have on one hand where they were seen as little helpers defending fields from animals and symbolically warding off hunger.
And then on the other hand, their human-like form and lifeless stare sparked, the ominous, even dangerous scarecrows that could come alive at night, right?
Right, right. No Jeepers Creepers around here though.
Well, I mean, you got to think like back when I was a kid, no street lights, and the moon can play a little tricks on you.
Hmm.
I can
Hmm.
see where that kid is coming home, in the light of the moon, or that person, and they're like, "Man, I saw the scarecrow move. It was after me."
Right. Uh, I've seen that represented in I believe in Doctor Who at least once, and then in a couple of other things too.
I was
And
in Doctor Who a lot.
yeah. Well, and then the Weeping Angels too get me. Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh. Anyway, this tension, comfort versus unease, made them fertile ground for folklore and storytelling.
Yeah, in some cultures, scarecrows were believed to absorb misfortune, bad spirits, and evil energies, which might otherwise harm the harvest.
Right. Their placement in the fields was sometimes ritualized, almost like setting up a protective charm or talisman.
Yeah. This tied scarecrows to cycles of fertility, protection, and basically reinforcing that idea that they were more than just lifeless straw figures. Before we get into eerie superstitions, I say we kind of take a little break right here. And
Hey, William, I think we should take a break.
okay, let's do it. Hey, Kat, Old Glory, they've been operating since 1969 and they have over 300,000 items to choose from.
Wow. So we're talking like music or what are we talking about?
We're talking about music, sports, and pop culture gear. And we're not just talking about modern day stuff either. We're talking about bands like the Beatles, Metallica. They have hoodies, tees, gifts, and so much more.
Wow. Do they also do those old nostalgia TV shows?
Not just the TV shows, but the movies as well. And if you know that sports fan, they got you covered there too.
That's exciting. Do we have an exclusive code?
Absolutely, we do. It's called InfoGo. So check it out at oldglory.com. Use our code to get an exclusive 15% off. Don't forget, that's InfoGo, oldglory.com, or just click the link in the show notes.
Hey, William, do you get too hot at night?
Are you kidding? We live in Georgia.
Oh, right. Okay, me too. But I found the site cozyearth.com where they make bamboo bedding. It's cooling, breathable, and buttery soft.
Tell me more.
Well, they have a 100-night free trial and a 10-year warranty. And there's also free shipping on orders $50 and above.
Tell me you got an exclusive offer for our listeners.
Absolutely. There's 41% off site-wide with our code INFOGO. And remember, that's cozyearth.com.
Yeah, so make sure you use our code InfoGo at checkout to get that 41% off. So now that we're back, Kat, you can take the eerie superstitions on.
So, the stillness in human shape of scarecrows sparked unsettling beliefs.
Go ahead.
Villagers in different cultures sometimes thought scarecrows contained a spirit of their own, either benevolent or malicious.
Yeah, so stories began to circulate of scarecrows moving at night, whispering in the fields, and serving as vessels for restless souls.
Right. And their uncanny resemblance to humans without actually being alive placed them firmly in the realm of the eerie and supernatural.
Yeah,
It's just
so,
wild. People created their own fears this way.
well, I mean, we're going to ask some serious questions at the end, but I would agree with that. In traditional European folklore, scarecrows often straddle that thin line between protector and the cursed figure.
European folk tales are just funny altogether. But in any case, some tales depicted them as enchanted guardians, magically watching over fields and protecting farmers' livelihoods.
And others lean into the darker side, where scarecrows were cursed or possessed, you know, coming to life under the moonlight and harboring those restless spirits that could, like, boo.
So, you know that dark prickly feeling you have on the back of your neck like somebody's watching you when you have to turn all the lights off in the house and hurry up and get to bed?
Somebody's watching you.
Yeah, right, right. Somebody's watching me. In any case, I
Yeah.
get that. I still have that. People are like, when you were a kid, and I was like, what do you mean? I still have that feeling.
So, as these stories kind of reinforce the idea of scarecrows, they were just never straw and cloth, right? They
Right.
were,
Imbued with life and mystery.
yeah, okay. But let's get into the American folklore now.
All right, so they were especially tied to the autumn and harvest cycle. Then they became deeply connected to Halloween and isolated figures in empty cornfields under the harvest moon. Um, they also gave an eerie presence in American ghost stories and legends.
They shifted from farm helpers to symbols of unease and kind of just in the fabric of our everyday traditions, that kind of,
Well, our fall traditions, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So, we do have some scarecrows represented in literature and in film.
So,
Does
you know,
anybody know what film we
yeah,
could
I
be
got
talking
one.
about?
I got one. If I only had a brain. The Wizard of Oz.
Yes, absolutely. And that one was a gentle, kind-hearted figure seeking wisdom.
Yeah, he wasn't the scary kind, right?
No, no. He was innocent and longing to become smarter. He wanted to be smarter.
So you got other films like Scarecrows in 1988 and
Mhm.
Jeepers Creepers 2 in 2003. These were menacing figures that came to life, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, Jeepers Creepers was not my favorite.
Yeah, the first one was okay. The second one, to me, it just wasn't the same. There's been countless haunted farm legends that feature scarecrows, that disguise
Sinister
spirits.
spirits.
Yeah.
And the horror game definitely taps into some inherent uncanniness of scarecrows. Familiar yet lifeless, human but not human.
And the scarecrows embody the paradox of, they're kind of human shaped, but lack life unless you
Right.
give it life, right?
Right. But I mean, people like to personify things anyway. It's natural in our biology.
Whether it's in children's stories or horror films, scarecrows kind of continue to capture the imagination. They force us to confront that eerie boundary between living and lifelessness.
Right.
Mm.
Well, and scarecrows today have evolved from practical field guardians to iconic fall symbols.
Yeah,
Right.
they appear in pumpkin patches, they appear in front yard decorations. They're in almost every harvest display that you see anywhere.
Right.
People have put some creativity into their scarecrows as of late, and today. They're not seen as that scary thing. Uh,
Right. Right. Depends on the person and who they are as a person. But of course, in contrast, you always have the haunted attractions and horror events that use scarecrows as terrifying props to
oh,
scare
yeah,
people for
that
sure.
just like jump out of nowhere.
Exactly.
I would hate to be the person wearing that straw suit, though.
Right. But did you know that around the world, communities celebrate scarecrows with festivals and competitions?
Yeah, so like in the UK, you got the annual Village Scarecrow Festivals.
We have fall harvest events and fairs that feature intricate scarecrow displays here in the US. And in Japan, certain rural areas celebrate the Kakashi with local art, parades, and field displays.
So these events blend creativity, tradition, community engagement, kind of keeping the scarecrow relevant like candy corn.
They still remain symbols of autumn and the harvest, linking back to centuries old agricultural roots.
Yeah, they also kind of retain their uncanny, eerie qualities, but superstition and, the human tendency to kind of like imagine inanimate figures coming to life, right?
Absolutely. But now modern scarecrows still continue to balance the line between warmth and unease, proving that folklore can thrive in both playfulness and imagination. What think about the last time you saw a scarecrow in a field or at a fall festival? Did it feel comforting,
Uh,
whimsical, or a little eerie? I think I'm one of those cute ones that sit on your front porch or something.
nope, not gonna do it here.
No. Ah,
Uh,
I don't know. I lean more towards like the skeleton waving at
um,
people.
yeah, I mean, I'm just joking around. I mean, I know scarecrows are not going to come to life or anything, but as a kid, absolutely not. I would have not have done it. Nope, couldn't do it. But I,
uh
I have a question for you. So why do we as humans give life to inanimate objects, like scarecrows,
well,
skeletons?
that's such a strange question. I mean, people, like I said, people personify things all the time. We are born with the urge and adaptability to create faces or shapes out of almost anything that we see. That's just how our brain works.
Yeah,
So I mean it's nothing for us to take a leap of imagination to see something where it maybe isn't really,
yeah.
you know.
And scarecrows touch on that imagination. They're straddling that thin line between guardian and a ghost, right?
Exactly.
So, Kat, I kind of have a question for our listeners here. So, the next time you see that silhouette kind of hanging in the moon, are you thinking about the scarecrow? Or are you thinking about something that could be following you? Do you believe in superstitions? Or is it that thin line kind of between both worlds, right?
Yeah. Yeah, is that thin line between both scary and not scary. What
And
what gets you?
yeah, this is that time of year,
Absolutely.
the harvest moon.
The
Don't let the scare,
harvest moon.
yeah, don't let the scarecrow get you.
Ah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So if you would like to support this podcast, tell a friend and help get the word out.
Yeah, if you would like to help us keep the show going, you can do so at Patreon. You can find the link in the show notes.
William and I want to thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Join the Facebook group and info on the go,
Share with us your show ideas.
or ask us a question.
Subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcast.
Send us a text using the link in the show notes or leave a review.
It helps get the word out. And you can email us at,
infoonthegopodcast@gmail.com.
and yes, that is all one word. Till next time.
Stay curious.